Hey everyone, welcome to the second episode of You Can Not Give Up. You can see the parentheses in my hands there. And I'm Terrence Calaxon, and I'm here with my co-host.
How you doing? This is Gina Versa. Ready for? I'm also a Nerve Commander too.
Nerve Commander Gene.
Yeah, look on our Discord.
If you don't know the show's premise, basically, we talk about Ava with a guest, but we also talk about, our guests, something that the guest wants to either accept about themselves or start loving about themselves, much like the protagonist Shinji. But Gene, do you want to introduce our guest?
Sure. Yeah, this is my good friend Keenan Duke. Keenan, yeah, good to have you on. We've done many production together. We've done like two short films, web series, and so much more. And we just hung out and everything. So it's it's good to have you aboard, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. I've been an anime fan for a long time, and when Gene kind of approached me asking if I'd be interested in doing an episode talking about Neon Genesis, I was like, I'm all aboard.
Yeah, it's like it's funny because it's like all the sets we've been on, we always have talking when we're not working and everything. And I think you were telling me we were talking about anime probably 4 or 5 years ago before I got really into anime.
Uh-huh.
And then I was asking you what animes to watch or something, and you gradually seen me get more and more into anime. I think you let me borrow Afro Samurai too.
I think I did let you borrow Afro Samurai.
Yeah,
I got a bunch of DVDs if you want to. I was like, you can watch Samurai Champloo. I got the whole season of Outlaw Star.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you kind of I guess mentored my anime journey.
I was just kind of like the kind of sensei that just kind of nudged you a little bit to be like, just check it out, just just give it a try, see what you think.
Yeah, because I think it was I don't know if it was Sebastian where he was he was saying if you talk to Keenan, it's he knows about anime. It's you wouldn't. It's you talk to him and then gradually know you're Keenan's a big anime fan.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, Gene, how do you know Keenan?
Oh, he was just pretty much the directed some film so it was a movie called The Road Not Taken. I did with my friend Cruz. He was the star of it, and I was brought on, I guess, pretty much an associate producer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, because you guys were crowdfunding. This was a film that we started producing in 2016. It was filmed in 2017, and I would say it was released 2019, correct?
Yeah, I think it was. We filmed it in 2018 actually, and then we released it 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I met him through that production, and I was also the editor. So yeah, that's kind of how we met.
And that's when me and Gene spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
So many nights at Starbucks and stuff like that. Just
editing,
powering through that thing.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I was. I just started editing too, so I hope I was pretty good on that. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy the film for
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was fun editing it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. So, so Keenan, you talked about already being a big fan of anime since you were pretty young. What's your history with Ava? How did you get into it? When did you first watch it?
So I first got into it, and like I said, I got into anime when I was in elementary, late elementary, 5th, 6th grade. Because it was actually when I just moved to Texas from St. Louis. And so after school, that's when, they had Sailor Moon and all those shows going.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen that before. And so that's when I started. I was like, oh, Sailor Moon or Ronin Warriors, Dragon Ball Z, these are really cool shows. Because I used to draw a lot when I was younger, and so seeing anime shows that were drawn that way. I was like, I've never seen anything like this well done. Because American animation looks so much different.
Yeah.
And so I was just like super impressed by the style of art that came with anime. And so that's how I kind of started. And then like a couple of years later, there was I think my family had like the Stars package, like network. And on that, on the Stars Action channel, like every Friday or like every couple days throughout the week, but especially like every Friday, they'd have like anime night. And so like they'd show like all these anime movies and like shows. And Neon Genesis, like Evangelion was like one of them. And I had never seen it before. And it was like, that was probably like that was when I first watched it. And so like I watched the movie before I actually watched the show. So I kind of saw it backwards, which was actually kind of interesting to see, like watch the end and then kind of like, because you watch the beginning, I'm like, oh no, this is kind of sad because I know how everything ends. So it's kind of, everyone's fate, like what it's working up to. But that's when I first saw it. I was probably like, I think I might have been like 13 or so. Like it was like 2000 when I saw it for the first time. So like only like 3 years after it got released. Is when I first saw it, the movie, and then the show subsequently after that. So that's when I first saw it. I was pretty young. I was in middle school.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's that's interesting. I just knew Evangelion was on Toonami, but I didn't know it was on the Stars. Because I was gonna say, was it subtitled or dubbed?
It was subtitled.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so like, and that's what I was like. That one was subtitled, but like on the Stars, whenever they would have those movies, and Stars, I kind of credit to like really getting me in like deeper into anime, because like they show like the darker, more adult anime versus the stuff that Sailor Moon and all that stuff, and like that was like the first time I was kind of like, holy crap, like there's a different side of like animation, like anime. Like I didn't know like you could like have content that could like go this dark, because they had that, like they had, shows like Bubblegum Crisis, Fist of the North Star, Berserk, like all those on that. And I was just kind of like, what, this is crazy. Like I've never seen stuff like this. They had like Vampire and like Vampire D, whatever. So just like all those dark, really like adult themed animes they show on that network. And so I kind of credit that to like really, getting me really into anime, because I was like, this is so cool. Like I've never seen it before.
I was gonna say they programmed a little bit better than Toonami sometimes.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. I was gonna say, did you guys know that Fist of the North Star is apparently John Cena's favorite anime?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I can see that.
It's funny because if you listen to Wu-Tang, they reference that shows like multiple times in several songs.
Oh, that's awesome. I haven't heard any. I don't know. Maybe I did and I didn't notice, but that's cool.
Yeah. So that's the long-winded answer. Sorry about that.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good.
Keenan, I remember before we started recording, you mentioned kind of dating yourself, and judging from the math, you and I are actually probably the same exact age. And I remember all that block of anime after school. Yeah. What's funny though is like, even though I was watching anime, I mostly watched it from renting VHS tapes or early Saturday morning Dragon Ball Z, which I think was like 6 a.m. on UPN over here in California.
Oh, that's great.
But after school, I actually used to watch, because I'm like a big comedy nerd, so I used to watch like Comedy Central. So I would watch like Kids in the Hall, in Living Color. Shout out other Keenan. What else was there? Strangers with Candy, which is not a sketch show, but like all that weird alt comedy stuff. And then, and then eventually, maybe when I was 14, that's when I was like watching a lot of anime. And but around that time, Vampire Hunter D, all the stuff that like kind of younger generation of anime fans don't really get. They
kind of missed that kind of that time of anime, because I think most people's introduction was like Dragon Ball Z and kind of like forward, and not anything like kind of before Dragon Ball Z. I think it's only kind of like the bigger known entities that
Mhm.
they might have seen. Like, I think most people have seen Akira just because if you watch anime at all, it's kind of like a must watch principle. So like that's kind of like probably one of the only older like anime entities that they've seen. But so like because anytime I mention Bubblegum Crisis, like no one has any idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was like
Like
it was almost
that's kind of like the show that I bring up to see if you've like watched older anime before. Like if you don't
Yeah.
know Bubblegum Crisis, I'm like, okay, you probably didn't really watch anything.
yeah. I was gonna say it was like a previous generation of like anime watchers because it's like that's when anime started like coming over to like America and everything.
Mhm.
Because I think before that, like, what was the only thing like Robotech maybe Terrence?
I guess, yeah, technically, I guess Macross, but then I guess we would know it here as like Robotech, and then
Yeah.
we would kind of get some like Gundam stuff here and there, but not really. But yeah, you would have to go to the video store and rent it on VHS, and it was, if you wanted to buy it, it was like a $20 a
Yeah.
video. People didn't even call it anime sometimes. Like you go to a video store, they call it like Japanimation or
Animation.
Japanese animation.
Japanese animation, yeah.
It was weird that dark
It
times.
Yeah, it really didn't get dubbed to anime until like early, like what was it, like late
2000s?
90s, like
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
I would say. So yeah, no, it's yeah, that's I think a lot of people, like a lot of the later generation did miss out on that, which I feel kind of bad because like for me, I enjoy at least the animation style better
Mhm.
of those because it feels more like artsy. Like I said, like it feels like everything was like very meticulously like hand drawn and like a lot of work went into it.
Yeah.
Versus now where it seems like it's a lot of just carbon copies of characters and they just kind of like change which I get it. It's more efficient, so I totally understand it. But
Miyazaki's just cringing.
yeah, but to me it's almost kind of like the animation now. It's like it's not as much effort is put into it as it used to be.
Yeah.
That kind of goes back into Ava, where like, the last 2 episodes of that series basically didn't really come into Ano's, I guess, his true vision because of budget issues, because all the other episodes were just packed with really great animation.
Yeah. Poor Ano.
It's so funny because I'm in a writers group and I was just in one yesterday. I'm in a writers group that we meet like every other Saturday, and we had one yesterday, and Evangelion came up, and that same thing about the budget for the last few episodes. And one of my friends on there, she was like, "That's a lie." That's how he was meant to end up. She was adamant about it.
Really? Wow. Okay.
You never know. Yeah, Ano probably took a big swing and then it didn't hit, and he was just like, it's budget issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that, like. I don't know. How do you feel about the last few episodes? Did you not like them, or?
Well, I felt, because I watched it for the first time on Netflix, and I just, the last 2, because it just kind of starts kind of like in mid scene, right? It's like this weird narrative, and it was really confusing when I watched it the first time around. So I truthfully, I was like really confused, and I had to go to all the wikis to understand. And then I watched Evangelion, and I enjoyed that a lot better. But I appreciate the original ending for what it is, and I actually do like that last ending of congratulations, which we'll might see you later. But yeah, congratulations. That was a good scene. And yeah, I don't know,
like,
it's just confusing.
When I first saw the full series, I was probably like early college, because I saw a couple episodes when I was a kid, like 95, 96 on VHS, and I was like, what the hell's going on? And my video store didn't have all the episodes, so I couldn't rent them. And I missed the whole the Toonami airing, so, or was it Adult Swim or whatever? And in college, that's when I saw it. Yeah, and at that time, I was kind of like, edgy early 20s or late teens kind of emo kid. So I was watching the last 2 episodes. I was like, this is too much. This is like mirroring my angst way too much. I can't handle this. So I don't know if I liked it, but I guess at the time I probably like related to it a bit. But I don't hate my dad or anything. That's the thing. So like, there's a lot of stuff I don't like relate to, and I have a good relationship with my parents. But like, but yeah, the angsty stuff and rejection and all that stuff was something I could relate to. So I got what Ono was doing. He wanted to use his budget wisely, and I guess try to make it a little more artsy than the other episodes were.
Yeah.
So Keenan, you mentioned that you really liked episode 18, which I believe the title of that, which is title 2, the title that I believe Ano gave it, because there's 2 titles. There's the Japanese title, there's the English version of the Japanese title, and then the what they call title 2 is just a separate title that Ano gave it, which is Ambivalence. So in that episode, I believe, because I rewatched it, what's going on here is that they're about to introduce Eva Unit 3. Shinji does not know that Toji is actually going to pilot it. Whole episode, everyone's trying to keep it from him because he knows that him and Shinji and Toji have been growing as friends, and he knows what happened to Toji's sister early on in the series. So there's kind of like a weird history between them, but they're buddies now. And they knew that if Shinji found out, that he would probably freak out. So I think that they're around. So later on in the episode, they're actually testing Unit 3. Something goes wrong, and the 13th angel, I guess, possesses the Unit 3 while Toji's inside of it. Basically Gendo tells Shinji to no, you got to fight it because Rei and Asuka are tapped out, but Shinji doesn't want to. They use a dummy plug to take over Shinji's unit, and basically the Unit 1 basically destroys. Unit 1 basically destroys Unit 3, and Shinji is really mad at his dad.
Yeah, as always. Gendo's like such a bad, like, traumatizes his son so many times throughout the series.
Yeah.
So why would you say that's your favorite episode, Keenan?
For me, that's my favorite episode of the series because like you said in your kind of summary of the episode, just that relationship and everything that's going, like, to me, there's so much going on in that episode. Like, that episode's like so emotionally charged. And then also you realize after that episode that episode actually marks kind of the turning point in the show, to where everything before then was kind of light a little bit, as dark as the show, like, because everyone kind of knows that show for being like very dark and like, being very, and I think that episode marks that turn that turns the show into what everyone knows it for as it is now. Because beforehand, everything's very kind of not so serious, not to say not so serious, but the emotions kind of offset with a lot of comedy and like lightheartedness and silliness that, the interactions between the characters and kind of like the way they speak and whatnot. And I find that after that episode, everyone's a lot more in their emotions and their feelings because, Unit 3 messed up everybody in various different ways. Unit 3 is the reason why Asuka like turns into like this highly emotional. She was highly emotional beforehand, but then she's like sad, depressed after that, and she's kind of like a different character. You see the change in Shinji after that, and so for me, it was like that episode, like, is kind of like marking the change within the show. So that's a big reason why I liked it, and again too, it's just like there's so much gravity in that episode to me because you watch Toji and you just see him grappling with what the information that he's been told and like what he's eventually gonna have to do, and knowing everything about him, like how his feelings towards the units and whatnot, like you can tell like that's the last thing that he would want. And then that's also juxtaposed against his friend who like that's what he like even goes to the to the house and is like, please let me pilot. And it's like, so you have this guy who wants to be a pilot so desperately bad, and then you got who's about to be a pilot, and it's the absolute last thing he wants because those things hurt his sister. That's the reason why he didn't like Shinji in the first place. And so you see him grappling with what he's gonna have to take on, and it's not what he wants. And then on top of that, you have everyone who knows this information besides Shinji, and like they're all kind of creeping around how to tell him or like not tell him. And so to me, it was just like so much going on in that episode to where I just really enjoyed that episode hands down over any other of the other ones. If that makes sense.
Gene, what do you think about the episode?
Yeah, rewatching it because I rewatched it last night. It's I don't know if like the first time around I was like not paying attention, but I was like, I really enjoyed it because it's like it's so obvious that it's like Toji that's the pilot. I didn't get the first time for whatever reason, but like the way they foreshadow it and the way they're like indicating like, oh yeah, it's Toji is like pretty brilliant. And yeah, like I really I didn't think of some of the points that Keenan brought up about Toji because his sister is like a big motivation, so that's really interesting. But yeah, it's an interesting episode in how they deal with like Gendo and Shinji because this is like almost like a turning point in their relationship. Gets even worse, So it's and the turning point for the series too. So yeah, I revisiting it, I was like really satisfied by it.
One thing I noticed is that I think Ray actually talks a little bit more in this episode, more than usual. And it's like, wait, you have a personality, and more than just depressed.
She's talking to Toji and all that. That's so
and that's again, like that's kind of like a moment too, where like to me that episode held so many great moments, because like you just said, like you actually see. You almost see a side of Ray that you don't ever see, and like again, like and on top of that, she's talking to someone that she's never really interacted with, and doesn't get a chance to interact with afterwards. But it's like you kind of see a little bit of the humanity in Ray come out in that episode because she's trying to connect with Toji, which she like never tries to. You like. Never see her try to make a connection with anyone, and there you actually see her go out of her way to try and make a connection with him, whereas like she doesn't even really do that with her teammates, the other pilots,
especially not Asuka.
So it's kind of like you have that moment there. You have the kind of love story that sad because it never comes to fruition between Toji and Hikari, the girl who likes him, trying to make try to make lunch for him and all that stuff. And then you have the moment where Shinji's with what's his name, the guy that's like Masako's love,
Kaji.
Yeah, him.
Yeah,
where he's like watching the kids and they're like late, like they're like sleeping, and he's like asking him about his dad, and Kaji kind of like goes on this kind of somewhat monologue about women and kind of like a little bit like adulthood into a degree, and like people trying to get to know other people and whatnot. And I think that kind of sentence kind of underlines a little bit of the series as well. So I just feel like that episode had so many great moments within it to where it's like to me it's just like the best episode.
It's also. Oh, go ahead, Gene.
I was going to say it was an episode where Ano didn't forget about Ray. Like he's opposite.
It's
so sad.
I think, I think so. One of the best moments is just seeing, I guess, getting to see an Eva unit just go all out. Like I guess they kind of do throughout the series, but technically it's like an angel clone possessed by an angel, making it act more like a real angel, I guess. Is what's happening.
Yeah. I was confused because I was going to say, how does Because for the Eva pilots, you need to like have like a connection to them, right? For the Evas, am I missing something? But like, how did Toji like have a connection to Unit 3?
Not exactly sure.
So I'm not sure either, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I know there's I think one of the questions was like what the worst parts of the worst moment of the show is.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I kind of feel like that is a little bit just because it is the most confusing component of the show a little bit. Because I was confused as well with that, where it's like, how did that happen? As far as like how did because I can kind of see like how maybe the thing went bad.
Yeah.
Because like to me it was kind of like if knowing Toji's like true emotions towards them, it's like the connection was that he doesn't like it's like bad in a sense. So the whole entity like went bad because Toji just inherently does not like them and doesn't view them in a positive light because of his system. So that's the kind of like leap that I made for that as to like why, like what went wrong. Because of the connection that the pilots have to have with their units.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I could kind of make a connection as to like why things went wrong.
Right.
My only thing was like how the angel like possessed it or something like that. I didn't quite I get that.
There's so many hidden background details in Evangelion. Like the first time you watch it, you won't get, and you have to like watch. Because I was gonna say, did you guys notice when Shinji's in class? It's so casual, but it's like they're saying kind of like background lore for like Second Impact. Like the teacher's like, oh yeah, Second Impact was here, and it studied all the ocean and everything. And that's like such a it's such an Ano thing. It's just like briefly in the background by a teacher, like all this lore. So I don't know. I feel like maybe it's on a wiki or something. Someone noticed something, how the angels do it or something. Some explanations out there.
Yeah. Gene, I think I guess what you might have been alluding to earlier when you asked that question about Toji's connection, I think because so Shinji's mom, her soul is in Eva Unit 1.
Right.
Asuka's mom is in Unit 2. Rei is her own mom, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day, Rei.
Yeah, so I guess what you might have been asking is there a soul in Unit 3?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Maybe that's why. Maybe they cloned an Eva unit, or they cloned the Atom. What is it? They cloned Adam's. They used Adam's DNA to make the units, and they used the soul from humans to make the Evas. But maybe there was no mom soul, unless Toji's mom has somehow died and they got her soul. I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I also think it's kind of crazy because I think they talk about how, I think in the next episode or this episode, Misato talks about how she's a legal guardian of Shinji.
Yeah.
But she also tells Shinji that and this is the only motherly figure that Shinji really knows in the past, decade or something. But in the end of the series, she tells Shinji that, you can have sex with me after you come back, knowing that he's going to die or that they're all going to die.
Yeah, so I think she does that twice too, actually. There was that other episode where I think she gives him her hand and then he swings his hand back.
But then there's also the weird tension between Shinji and Rei, who is also Shinji's actual mom. And then Shinji in the entire series is literally inside of his mother the entire time. So Ano keeps playing with the weird
it's weird, yeah.
What's that complex?
Oedipal complex. Yeah. It's I don't know.
Endo's a weird guy. I wonder what Endo's parents were like. Or Ano. What is that?
I get it, but
yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of weird messages with all of that stuff. I think the thing that kind of really kind of I was like, oh man, what is he? What's trying to be said here? Where it's Shinji's kind of having the kind of visions where it's all three women are naked and kind of coming up to him, and it's what is it? Does he clearly
has
something for all three women? What is that trying to say about does that say something about males or something like that?
Yeah, that's also Yeah, that's also interesting because that's when he gets like stuck in the Evangelion, so he's essentially stuck in his mom's soul. So
Yeah, I mean,
even worse.
because he's basically like in her womb, I guess, almost like
Yeah.
they filled him up with liquid, which much like a baby, they're just kind of chilling in basically liquid the whole time.
Yeah, it's LCL. Yeah.
So it is kind of a, I don't know what Anna was trying to say here, but
gotta ask him one day. Find him.
Yeah, just track him down. Okay, so speaking of the women of Evangelion, that brings us to the last part of this section is Keenan, who is best girl?
Best girl. Of course. I'm gonna go with someone who I guarantee probably no one ever says. I'm gonna go with Hikari.
Oh
okay. Wow,
that's a good choice. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Hikari. Just because to me she seems the sweetest.
Yeah, the most normal.
Yeah, she's like the most normal one out of everyone. She to me is like that girl in high school that like no one ever really notices or takes too much account into, and then like later on you're like, damn, why didn't I notice her before? Like she's the one I need to be with. Like like she's that girl. Where like
and then you look her up on Facebook and she's married with 2 kids, and you're like, wow, I messed up.
Yeah. Well done to the guy that spotted it correctly.
Yeah.
So I would say her just because like she's like the most normal. She seems like the most sweet. She seems like someone that you'd actually want to be with and like would want to be with you, versus like so many like the other women in the like other characters that just seem all over the place. Like I almost went with Yui.
Oh, okay.
But I decided against that. Just specifically, the reason why I didn't go with Yui was because the sentence where she's talking to the professor guy, where she's like, there's always that third option that you didn't mention, which is to marry a guy, and like it's like,
And I think, Gene, did you mention yours in the last episode?
Oh yeah, mine's Ray. I mean, no, not Ray. Mine's Asuka.
Okay. And then mine is Misato.
Yours is Misato?
Mine's Misato because, I mean, her character, Canon, is born in 1986, so we'd be around the same age. I get her. I know what her life was like. She's literally going to work every day. She goes to work. She's just doing a job. She's a millennial. She's trying to get through life. She knows my pain. I know her pain, and we just know. I get her. I understand that like she just wanted to get through her life and maybe someday own a house or maybe get married someday. I feel her.
See, I don't know. Okay, so first point, I didn't know we were taking age into account here because not gross.
Well, I said Asuka, so
I wasn't taking into age, but I was like, but second too, like Basato, the reason why because she almost seems like the obvious choice. Yeah. But the reason why I did pick her is just because like she's got so much going on to where it's like she seems like that girl that you would actually never be able to like have. You know what I mean? Like one of those where like even if you do have her, you don't have her because her mind's always somewhere else or like off with another guy. She's thinking about what's his name?
She has too much baggage.
Yeah, she's just got like so much going on where it's like no matter what, like she's never gonna be yours. Like, you don't know if she's gonna go after some high school boy or like it's just she's got a lot going on there. And then Asuka, she's a handful.
Yeah,
she seems like she's on the road to being Masato. So
yeah, well, I like Asuka because like I don't know, I just found her.
I was saying, didn't she even say that? Like, is this what I'm gonna be? Like when they were like watching Masato, like she almost alluded that that's like her future self.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I find Asuka like like she's mean to Shinji, but like she has like you kind of understand her, and she has her own like complex issues, and she's angry, with all the stuff her mom and everything. I don't know. I find her a very like complex character, so I enjoy her.
No, but you're good, Keenan. Usually when we ask best girls, just say who would you, I don't know, I guess who would you be more of a fan of?
just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, no worries.
For sure.
Okay, so I guess we're on to the last section of the episode where we ask you, is there anything much like Shinji, who's trying to learn to love himself and not care so much about what others think about him, and accept things about himself? What's something in your life that you feel like that you're learning to accept or start to love about yourself?
Okay, so you guys are getting deep on me. I would say if I had to choose one thing, I would say probably having I don't know if it like if confidence is the right word, but like the right kind of like actually like believing in the work that I do and believing that it's actually like good to like put out into the world. Because I think for so long, like I kind of I'm always like very hard on myself, and like anything that I do, I'm just kind of like not good enough. It's like I don't know if you guys ever watched the show Historia that came out a long time ago. It was like the creator of the Animaniacs.
Oh yeah,
okay.
vaguely, yeah.
But like they did, it was like the same thing, but just like with history. And there's like this once, and I always remember this. There's this once sketch that they did where it was like Alexander the Great, and it showed like 3 times where it was like he was a baby, and this lion crawls up to him, and like the baby like grabs it by its tail and like whips it back and forth. And you see the dad. You never see the dad's face, but you just see the dad's legs, and he's like, "Pretty good, Alex. Pretty good. Not great, but pretty good." Like, he does something else, and then you see his dad. He's like, "Pretty good, Alex. Pretty good. Not great, but pretty good." And then it's like, then it happens a 3rd time, and Alex is like, like, what do I have to do to be great? And so I always kind of feel like that a little bit, where it's kind of like everything was like, it's pretty good, but it's not quite great. And so I think trying to like believe that like the stuff that I actually am doing is could be great. And so to actually like take the chance and like put it out there for other people to like see and kind of take in for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like self-affirmation almost.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard as a creative sometimes when you put your heart into something, and you kind of have to balance that whole. There's like a balance between like loving your own work and hoping other people love it too. And when you put that much of yourself out there, it is like, it's kind of like they always tell you like, oh, don't get too married to your work, or don't treat it as your baby. But that's really hard if you're,
right.
I mean, you guys are in the film world. I know there's kind of like a weird divide between auteurship and then people who kind of like, more like the ensemble or teamwork part of the creative aspect of it. But the people who are auteurs, even if what they put out isn't maybe amazing all the time, you have to understand it's like, that they kind of put themselves on the line, and you have to respect that, which, sometimes critics don't really put that into account. They'll crap on something like Kevin Smith made or something like, but it's like, dude, the guy was having fun. This is something he really loves to do. It's probably not his best, or what people don't think is his best. But like yesterday I was on Twitter and someone was crapping on Chasing Amy Mallrats and I forgot what else, but Kevin Smith actually found, because I'm sure he probably looks himself up on
name searches
on Twitter.
Sure.
I forgot what it's called again. It's like there's a term for it, but like
name searching.
Yeah. But yeah, he chimed in. He's like, what's it called? Also throw in Tusk and Yoga Hosers in there. And he says like, love Mr. Mediocrity. And I was like, I know he did that as kind of like a jab at himself, but he probably took it really hard when some random fan posted that. So
yeah. I mean, yeah, you just gotta like take things, I think, with a grain of salt. Like, I mean, not everyone's gonna like your work, but then like maybe it's not for them too. So yeah, I mean, at least for me, I just try to like, just take things in a healthy way. I was gonna say, but I enjoy all your work too, like on LA and the Road Not Taken. So yeah,
Thank you.
it's really good work.
Keenan,
So
what are some things that you feel like you can try to take a step in the right direction to learn to, have more confidence in your work? Is there anything that you've been doing lately? It could be anything, just meditating. You can just waking up and telling yourself, "Oh, I'm good at what I do."
I think just kind of um, I don't know if this is almost kind of like I won't say like a switch, but just in a sense, just telling I guess just telling yourself that no, this actually is pretty good. Where it's I think I've gotten to a point now where I've written enough stuff. I've shot a couple things like Jeans said, like with between LA and the Road Not Taken, where it's like, okay, I feel like I'm doing stuff that is actually good, and people seem to like for the or for the most part. Is it perfect? No. But overall, I think it's a product that I can be happy about and happy with. So if I seem to be like that, and I seem to be like I'm actually like whenever I write stuff, it's like okay, I think it actually is good. Let me show other people and let them read it and see what they say and kind of I guess it, and also too, it is a little bit of the feedback whenever you get it back. It's like, oh no, this is actually really good. It's like, okay, so what I'm doing actually is good enough. So maybe I should believe it myself. If other people are telling me so, then I have to kind of believe that too, because I think for so long, even if people told me it was good, I'm kind of like, they're just, bullshitting me because they want to be nice or something like that.
yeah,
But at a certain point, I think if you get enough of that versus it's kind of like I think even if you're doing stuff and people like that you do show and they show you something, if it's not good, I think you'll always kind of get that little bit of like, yeah, and they're kind of like trying to dance around it versus like when someone kind of like you can kind of tell someone's genuine enthusiasm behind something you've done. And so I think just having, I guess, enough of that to where like I guess I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, okay, I think the stuff that I'm doing is actually good. I think I'm actually good at what I do. And just kind of like having to reinforce that within myself of like telling myself, no, you're actually good. You've gotten to the point now. You've put in enough work to where you can actively say you are a writer, blah blah blah. You're good. So believe in that. And I think again, just kind of like that self affirmation of like kind of telling myself that first and foremost, and then throwing it out there to get the feedback to where like even when I do get that feedback of like oh yeah, this was really great. And obviously you're gonna get notes and critiques. It's like, okay, cool. Like I didn't quite hit it there, but I know I'm good enough to be able to make that change or fix it to where I can the next time I revisit it and work on it, it comes back better.
yeah.
Uh, and so I think, yeah, just a little, yeah, the self affirmation is the thing that I've probably done the most to kind of um, alleviate that kind of like stress or weakness that I kind of had before.
Awesome.
That's good. Yeah, well, it's like a good, healthy way to like just engage with that sort of doubts because those are all normal and yeah, but as long as you like just have these like healthy ways of dealing with it, it's all you have to do.
This is a question for both you, Keenan and Gene. You guys, you're both, you both work in the film industry, and if you have any listeners that are thinking of getting into writing or doing anything in some sort of multimedia field, media field, do you have any advice for someone trying to get into it? Let's say if you're, I'm sure you might have an older audience, but let's say you're probably in your late 20s, early 30s. What any advice on, not being too hard on yourself or, because I know a lot of people who, they work various jobs in the corporate world, but they want to get into entertainment. So, and you guys are, we're roughly around the same age. What's some advice you can give to people who want to get into, doing what you guys do?
Okay.
You want to hop on that first, Jane?
Oh, and is it's just specifically just like working or like writing? Would you say? Just
I
that
mean,
far?
anything breaking into any type
Oh, okay.
of entertainment. And Gene, I know you're 19, so no, I'm just kidding. You're not that much younger than me, but
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would say just for breaking in, you gotta have like really tough skin in the sense of like you're gonna get a lot of like rejection, but it's like, everyone gets like rejection. For a lot of things in life, you just have to like not keep failing, but you gotta like, keep like, what was it like? I don't know if Keenan knows that quote where it's like, was it you miss like all the was it like Michael Jordan quote, you miss all the shots you don't take, or
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
yeah, so I would just say like just go for it. If you get rejected, then okay, then this wasn't for you. And yeah, you have to have like tough skin, and also you got to have like a good like network in the sense where it's like I'm friends with like you, Keenan, or Cruz, or Sheldon, where you have to have like a good sense of like who are like kind of good people, where you want to like avoid all like the jerks, because like I think like the entertainment industry, it's almost like high school sometimes, where you got to find like a good group of friends, and like I don't know, like you have to like avoid the bullies because like they're just not worth your time, or avoid all the not so great people. So just like do whatever you can, like have like like good. I'm trying to think, like the only thing I could like think of is like a bullshit detector, where it's like who the not so great people, and you just got to really like trust your gut in establishing like a network, and kind of like know that they're good, like honest people, and you want to kind of like build your like team, or you're almost like it was like Dungeons and Dragons, like your league, of like people that, or your fellowship almost, to go to Mordor. So yeah, you just have to keep at it. And I was just gonna say, just for like writing too, I guess in entertainment, at least for me, you have to just really like write for yourself. Where I feel like a lot of people, they're like, I want to get this like sold, or like they're so like concentrated on getting it like sold, or will it work for this? Where all right, like I think as long as like you get it written down, like you do, like I have a term, it's called like a vomit draft. You just get all your ideas on paper, and you feel like it's good, then and if it's good enough for you, just like write for yourself, and then like as you're like trying to give it to other people or like whatever, make alterations then, and think about making it the most like viable sort of like product that other people could collaborate on. Yeah, don't get too hung up on like other like expectations when you're doing your initial drafts, just so it gets done. I hope that answers everything. I was like long-winded.
Keenan, what about you?
Yeah, I would say I guess it really depends on like the area of entertainment or film that you're really trying to get into, because there's so many different ways of going about it depending on like what it is that you're trying to do. You know what I mean? It's like if you're trying to be someone that's a crew person, that does like lighting or that kind of thing, it's like that's a completely different world than say if you're trying to get into like being an agent or something like that, that's with entertainment, that kind of comes with a completely different scenario. So I think it just really depends on what it is you're specifically trying to get into, and kind of looking into ways of kind of immersing yourself into that specific world. It's like if you're trying to be someone on crew, it's like, okay, kind of look at what needs to be done in order to like hop on a crew. Like if there's someone who's just like doing a short project or something like that, and it's like, hey, can I be a PA that like really just kind of like helps out with whatever the crew needs, just so you can kind of see what it is that they're doing, and what's kind of like required of that work, just so you can kind of visually see it for yourself. I would imagine for someone who's like trying to be like an agent or like a lawyer within entertainment, it's kind of like, well, first you kind of got to know like all the different, if you're trying to be a lawyer, obviously you got to go into law school and all that stuff, but if you're trying to be an agent, it's kind of like, okay, like what do I need to do in order to like and get the qualifications that come with being that, and then also just getting into an agency network that you can rise up through the ranks for that. for me, it's almost kind of like you have to figure out what it is exactly that you're trying to do and look at the ways that other people have kind of done it to a degree,
Mhm.
to kind of start off and then figure out ways to like get into those arenas, if you will, whether it be through forums and just like asking random people. I feel like that's one thing that I kind of didn't do that I'm kind of starting to do now, at least, is like getting like reaching out and kind of like making more of an effort to like make connections with people in the same kind of like world as me as it pertains to like writing, and like really kind of immerse myself more so in groups and stuff like that that are with other people that are working towards the same thing that I am.
Mhm.
And I think that's a good way to like really get into it because again, kind of like what Gene said, creating kind of like your own little network of people. And I think that's a good way where it's like if you by doing that you'll find the people, you'll find various people that you make connections with and that you vibe with who, you never know who they might know. And if something comes up, they because they know you, they might throw your name out there, and that's how you got into, XYZ position. So I think that's a big thing, is trying to find groups that you can kind of get into in your specific field, to where you can kind of start making those connections that would eventually help you get to where you want to be.
Mhm.
Um, so I would say that, and then I would say probably the last thing is to be patient
Mhm.
and to know that none of this stuff happens overnight.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I don't know if the saying still goes, but it's like what the average amount of time that it takes for people to like really break in and kind of like get just the start or whatever of their career is like 10 years,
Mhm.
and it's kind of like you almost kind of have to take that, with a grain of salt and kind of like keep that in mind to a degree because, this isn't anything most of the time. I mean, not to say that it can't happen, you could catch lightning in a bottle to a degree, but, in large part, this is something that's going to take time.
Yeah.
You have to know that, and sure, that's going to come with frustration. Not to say you don't get frustrated, because I get frustrated with it at times, but you just have to. If this is what you really want to do and be involved in this world, like it's like you just have to keep at it and really keep trying to figure out ways that you can just plug away and kind of inch by inch get to where you're going, because it is a long game. It's and with writing, it's like you're constantly reworking stuff, rewriting stuff, and it's just things take time. And so nothing's going to happen overnight. And I know the struggle that can come with having, if you are trying to work your regular job while still pursuing, that's something that we're all doing. It's something that I'm doing, where I have my 9 to 5 corporate job. Granted, it's at a network, but still it's not in the field that I want to be in. So
Mhm.
it's like having 2 jobs where you're trying to, have your thing that keeps you afloat with money, and then chasing your dreams. So just be patient, I would say.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That's it. I agree.
It's funny because the past couple of years I've been working in gaming for about 7 years now, and when I was in high school and in college, I was really into kind of theater type stuff and comedy and improv, and I started taking improv classes a couple of years ago. And I walked in, I was like, oh, I'm probably just going to be in a class with a bunch of like actors or something. But no, it's crazy. Like there were other people who were around my age. They probably came from the tech world or from I met one other person from gaming, I believe, and they were just doing it because they wanted to do it their whole life. And it's not one of those one-off things. And I kept going up in classes. I was like, I was finding more people who were probably either in the tech world or the gaming world and just wanted to see what it would be like to, try more entertainment stuff. And then I took a TV writing class last year. And again, there was a lot of people who were around my age, just, they wanted to try it and check it out. And of course, like, in the improv classes, you get like the 3 or 4 people who were there because their agent sent them or something, and they needed to put that on their resume to get some roles. But like, it's interesting that, you kind of have a preconception of what I guess Hollywood is. But no, I mean, like, you're always going to find someone that's probably a lot like you, more than you probably thought, and those are the kind of people you probably want to meet and talk to and be friends with. And if you don't end up breaking into entertainment, I mean, at least you're developing a skill, at least you're meeting new friends, and it's something that you actually put yourself out there to do, and you took a risk. So people think that, like, when you hit 30, that it's like the end of the world. I have a lot of friends who are probably in their mid to maybe late 20s, and they're so scared of turning 30. And I told them, like, it's just like turning 20. Like, I was actually relieved when I turned 30, because I was like, oh, now in my early 30s, I don't have to say I'm in my late 20s anymore. It sounds kind of weird, but
yeah, I got 2 years. So.
But yeah, I feel like, you can find some modicum of like what you consider success later on in life. And who knows, maybe people don't realize that they're actually successful now. If you've been at a company for 10 years, you've been able to support yourself, and you're like healthy, mental health is okay, and you're not famous, you're still successful, you're still a good person. So I think, like, these people, my friends or whatever, they need to realize that, like, it's not about, being a big star or anything. Sometimes it's just about being happy with, what you, left here on this earth. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be like some life-changing superstar, but like, yeah, I think 30 is not a metric for anything. It's just an age. So
yeah, agreed. I mean, I would have to say too, this is like, I think what you like, I agree with everything that you just said too, where it's like, I think just being able to take, almost kind of like enjoying and appreciating what you have, and knowing that even if, like you said, like, you don't have to be like this big star that's like making tons of money and like doing all this crap. It's like, as long as it's like, how are you impacting? Like, what impact are you leaving? And it's kind of like, if you're having a good impact on those around you, then that's overall a good thing. Like, that's like, we need more of that, like people making a positive impact on each other's lives. And if that's what you're doing, then that's a success. Like, you know what I mean? And then also too, like with, if you're doing something and you don't quite achieve it in that thing, it's like, you just by doing something, like, you never know what you might learn, or like the skill or thing that you kind of subconsciously took away that actually helps you in something else that you're doing. And so I think that's one thing that you always have to keep in mind too. It's like, I might not be winning in this area, but the thing that I actually learned from that actually helped me in this other thing that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so, like, that wasn't a waste, because it helped me in this other thing that was kind of unintended, or I didn't see coming.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and like, age is just a number. I was going to say, look at Alan Rickman. He was in Die Hard when he was like 45. But like before that, he was a great actor. No one needed to tell him anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because I'm a musician, so like a lot of my friends that are in bands are in their 30s, and they're still trying to make it big, I guess. But like Blondie was literally 30 years old when I think her big album came out, and people don't know that. I think because she looks really young, and 30 isn't old, so you're not gonna look old or anything when you're 30. So she was she was a pretty big musician when she was like past her 20s. So people don't realize that, like, yeah, like it doesn't matter what age you feel like you've succeeded. I guess it just as long as you're trying, as long as you're not giving up. Like our podcast name. But anyway, do you guys have any final thoughts about anything? Keenan, what are your any final thoughts about Ava, about what you told us about yourself and your confidence?
I would say, kind of just jumping off what you were just saying, I think just last thoughts is to just always keep trying. You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest thing. I think as long as you're always trying to do something, taking an interest in something, I think you'll always kind of like have that sense of happiness to a degree, or that sense of purpose that everyone, I feel like, needs. Everyone kind of needs that thing that they feel like they need to be doing. And I think if you're always trying something, there's always something that you're going after that'll like keep that sense of purpose alive in you, versus just not trying or not doing anything, and you're just like you start to feel bad about yourself because you know you should be doing something. I just feel like as long as you're always trying something and trying to do something, like, fulfill a certain goal or, a task or something, I think you'll always be okay in the long run.
Awesome. What about you, Gene?
Yeah, no, I think like I guess kind of my general thoughts after the episode, just be cool with yourself, try to accept all your like ticks or imperfections or even like stuff you're really good at, like, because I mean, I don't know, with Evangelion, I'm just thinking of an episode where it's just yourself sometimes, you have to really, I guess like that last episode, you really have to learn to almost like love yourself, yeah, because it's just
okay. Yeah. With that said, we gotta send our guest off with with a final. Okay, so we gotta. You want to count it off, Gene?
Yeah, sure. Count of 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Congratulations! 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 So hopefully that'll send you off on your journey to, beginning to have more confidence in yourself and, believing in yourself.
Appreciate it. Same to
you. So Keenan, do you have anything that you want to plug? Your socials, any projects you have coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can plug my Instagram. My Instagram's KDDuke29. So yeah, you can follow me there on Instagram. And then as far as projects, wrapping up LA, we're on the final stages of post-production there. So be on the lookout for that, because we're going to be having a screening for that probably once we get that completely done, and before we send it off into festivals.
Awesome.
So yeah, I would say be on the lookout for that, because we put a lot of hard work into that thing. It's been a long time coming. So
yeah, I was there. I was there all the development of it. So
yeah. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you can find me at Terrence James, and my band is at HBYM_music. Gene, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Gene9892.
Awesome. All right. With that said, thanks for coming, Keenan. Thanks for talking to us, and best of luck with everything, and hopefully we can have you again.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.